Hi, this is Sherry Summers with the American Accent Workshop, and in this week's American English pronunciation tip, I'd like to give you something a little more general. I'd like to talk to you about Sherry's 4-step process to changing the way you sound in American English. This is what I think you need to know, and some of it might be obvious and some of it might not be. First of all, you need to really be able to recognize the difference between what you use in your native language and the sounds of American English. The reason I say this is you may be interpreting certain sounds as something different. Let me give you an example. This sound that looks like this symbol right here, this is the sound ah, ah. This is a sound that isn't very common in other languages. We don't hear it a lot in other languages, but it's very common in American English. A lot of times, if it's not in your own native language, you don't actually even hear it that much. So what you may be doing is saying something close to it, maybe like ah. So you may not hear the sound, therefore you may not be saying the sound. So you need to be able to recognize some of the sounds that are not the same as your native language. Now once you've done that, of course you need to learn how to produce the sounds, to make the sounds. Hey, and that's my job. That's what I do, is I help show you how to move your mouth and your lips, your cheeks, your tongue, and then this is a lot of stuff. After that, I teach you about all the different sounds of stressing and intonation, all the things that you may be missing out when you're speaking American English. So after I show you how to produce the new sounds, now you've got to go out and really listen for the new sounds in everyday English. You need to eavesdrop in on people, see what they're really saying. And you know, it's really funny because you may not have really recognized that ah sound very much before. Your brain may have been thinking that it sounds like ah, but once you know what you're doing and you really tune into people's speech, their everyday conversation, you're going to start hearing that. And that's when you say, wow, I never really noticed that before. And this is not just about the pronunciation aspect. It's about intonation and rhythm and timing, everything regarding the American accent. So once you start really listening for the sounds, you're going to hear it all over the place and it'll start making a lot more sense. And at the same time that you're listening for this, you need to be practicing. And I'm not really exaggerating here. You don't need to practice a little. You need to practice, 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 and yes, more practice. The reason for this is if you learned English as an adult or even as a teenager, and you've been using the sounds that are more comfortable for you, sounds that are more similar to your native language, you've developed a huge habit in pronouncing those sounds in that way. And you need to really change your habit. And so you're not only changing your habit, you're also training the muscles in your mouth to be able to easily form new sounds. So you're giving your mouth a workout. So yes, you need to practice, 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 practice. And guess what? After you've practiced enough times, and you know what you're doing because you've been taught how to do it, you've been taught the differences, you know what you're listening for, and you start listening in on other people, you start hearing the sounds, and then you practice, 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 like I'm recommending. It's not a foreign language anymore. It's not a foreign sound anymore. It's your sound. It's your language. You own it now. So this is what I recommend for changing the way you speak English, changing your pronunciation. And it works. It really does. Thanks a lot.